welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Horizon. Today I am coming to you a little bit differently than I normally would. It is late in the evening, it is raining, and I recorded this episode 2 times today, but my microphone was broken, so I'm coming to you for the third and final time, just using my headphones, the microphone that is integrated. It is a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill. I am really in this phase of my life in which I want things to be perfect. I am reclaiming my perfectionism, so this situation kind of goes against that, but I feel like embracing the laid back style instead of trying to fix something, the sound of the previous recordings that cannot really be fixed to the level that I want, is also not the way. So, hello, my name is Tabea Zoé. I am the host of this podcast, and usually when I am interviewing people or I'm in conversation with other people, I start with 3 questions about the rise in consciousness and then close off the episode with another 3 questions, again, how they lead into that shift in consciousness. And after I recorded the last conversation, I thought, I have not answered these questions for myself. And I feel like that is an important piece when you listen to those conversations, that you also know where I stand in all of that. So today I am answering my own questions that I normally would ask other people. The first question is, let me take a look. How do you perceive the shift in our consciousness? I have always been very intuitive. I had healing hands as a child. I was very connected to the muse and ideas. I started composing music when I was really young. And I feel like I always had the sense for the energetic, but I never truly had the words for it. And I didn't know that not everybody felt this way. And I think around 8 years ago or so, I started to be very interested in future forecasting, the development of trends, trend cycles, and how you can see how a culture develops. Even when we think about these small trends, how there's always a cycle, always a pendulum swinging in the other direction. And I felt like I had a good sense for how our culture is moving, the zeitgeist, where we are headed next. And I really looked to research this, to look at it through a logical and strategic lens. In how can you really analyze this and make predictions based on information? And while I researched that, I realized I already have a sense for this. And the more I leaned into my intuitive abilities, my psychic abilities, the more I understood that I have a sense for the collective consciousness that I can lean on. I haven't learned this, I haven't studied this, I haven't done any training or certification. This is just my natural ability that I have practiced now for 5 years of really intentionally honing those skills. And that is how I perceive those shifts. My intuition, my intuitive insights really come through as claircognizant. So I just know something. I also can channel, and there I tune into different layers of the spiritual realm, or I tune into another person and channel for them, or do energy work for them. But sensing the energetic shifts is something else. I would describe it as I feel it all around. It is like I am in an ocean of energy, and I can sense different waves, different tides, different undercurrents that move through this ocean, the creative waters, all of the time. It is not related to me as a person or the people that I am surrounded with, but really it is more of this collective energy. And I do not only feel that for the moment, but I also can sense how it is developing. So for example, I can feel when there is a rise in the density or the intensity of energy, and then I can also sense if we are building up towards something or if we are coming out of a phase, like the bigger movements that we are moving through. The interesting thing though is that time is so fluid, and sometimes I sense something and I in my logical mind think, okay, this will build up for a couple of months, and then within 3 days it is resolved and the energy has already shifted. Because depending on how we move with this energy, depending on how we create our future, how we behave in the present moment, we can influence how quickly we transmute, we alchemize this energy, how quickly we rise in consciousness. I also want to say that I believe that I am feeling into this stream of energy and these shifts in consciousness for a very specific collective, because I know that there are different realities, people that are far away from my lived reality. And I think that I am tuning into a collective that is within my range of frequency. So people that are pretty close to my level of consciousness, a little bit further along in their evolution, a little bit behind. So kind of my people, the wave that I am moving through. In the great scheme of things, I believe that we are in the third wave of a mass awakening. And if you are listening to this right now and you feel connected to me, most likely you are part of this third wave. And there are multiple waves coming after us. We are still part of the leaders, the not only early adopters, but like the avant-garde, the very first people leading into this shift in consciousness. So there are multiple waves building up, and we are moving towards that pretty quickly. And we can move into this higher consciousness right now. It is up to us to create this future. So it is available right now as well. What we feel emerging beyond the horizon is what we need to consciously create and what we can lead into right now already. What we sense beyond the horizon could be manifested in this very moment. This is how I sense these shifts, the energy. The second question is, how do you perceive where we are headed? When I come back to the foundation of this, when I make it very simple, I'll break it down to the base of what is going on. I believe that currently we are in a lot of illusions of separation. And where we are headed is that we overcome those illusions of separation and we step more and more into union. As you evolve in consciousness individually, you become more aware, you become more conscious of yourself, of your own patterns, of the constructs, the limitations in our culture, in our paradigm. And you become more aware and more sensitive to the energy all around, to the energetic layer of reality. With every rise in consciousness, with every breakthrough, you are coming more into the feeling of oneness. We have so many illusions of separation, and it already starts within. When you feel like you have split up a part of yourself that you reject, that you do not like, that you cannot express because it is not lovable and it will risk your belonging to this world to express this part of you, you have created a split within yourself. And in that, you do not allow yourself to express the whole human spectrum, your wholeness. This is a limitation. This is an illusion of separation between what is good and what is bad within the human spectrum. And as we move more into oneness, we come out of this paradigm of duality. Another really big split that we create is between the feminine and the masculine. And even the mainstream spiritual teachings right now still look at the feminine and masculine polarity as duality. They are still looking at it as a binary, as one and the other, and do not really understand or get to the point that the feminine and the masculine essentially belong together. Energetically, it just describes the spectrum of density of energy. The feminine is the diversion of energy. The masculine is the focus of energy. That's all it is. But in our paradigm, in our current paradigm, in our culture, we have rejected the feminine, split up the two, and only allowed the expression of the masculine. This does not work because they essentially belong together. So we are constantly swinging back and forth like a pendulum between those expressions. And I think part of that is because we as humans experience so much duality, we recreate it constantly because we cannot hold contradiction. I did another whole podcast episode about that previously. So those are the illusions of separation that we need to overcome. We need to come into union. We need to understand that in the end, it is all just energy, and we can allow that energy to come through us, to be expressed through us in all ways on the whole human spectrum. We can never reach complete oneness as humans. When you have reached complete oneness, you also overcome the illusion of separation between you and the divine and source. And even though you can realize this as a human, you are still limited by this physical body. So part of being a human is that we experience that separation. But the extent to which we recreate illusions of separation all of the time is not needed. And this is what we are breaking through. I believe that what we are moving into is a reality and a paradigm in which we feel more oneness. We come into this inner union, and people act from integrity, sovereignty, truth, authenticity. And I also believe that part of that is that we overcome the split between the energetic and the tangible, the great feminine energetic realm and the great masculine physical reality. And we understand that both are just different layers of reality. In that we give the feminine its rightful place as the leading force. Everything first happens on an energetic level. And everything first exists within the energetic realm and is then manifested into the tangible reality. And in that we shift how we perceive the dynamics of polarity and of the energetic principles into alignment with what they actually are. So we come into this way of being where we actually live in alignment with life. Right now, there's so much forcing and pushing and controlling because when it comes down to it, we are living against life as a collective. And we will come into a reality where we move as one with life. One big shift in my own journey as a channel was when I started to channel the realm of spirit babies. A collective of souls that want to come into this world in the next years. And they just shared a lot of information with me about what they need from us. And part of that is that they need us to rise in consciousness, because those souls that want to come in really are already at a level of consciousness that we haven't even reached. And they will come in at that level. So as children, they already will be very conscious, very aware, and very sensitive. They need parents who can hold that. They need parents who can raise a child that is so sensitive to the world. So we need to step it up. And when they reached out to me, I really felt this deep responsibility to become their advocate and to guide more women into this higher consciousness, not only through a spirit baby journey and my program Birthing, but also in general, that we as women really step up into our position as leaders in this world. And in the future, what I believe is that a spirit baby journey, communicating to the soul that you are about to conceive, will just be normal, because we will look at the energetic as just another layer of reality, just like we look at time as one dimension of reality, and we will naturally honor that souls come in that way, that they also have desires and needs and their own timing and things. And this is just one way how it will show up, that we are allowing the energetic to lead. We are coming into union between feminine and masculine. The third question is, what do you want our future to be? I want everybody to come into this way of being, of moving as one with life. I want everybody to feel this inner union between their feminine and their masculine, so that they can truly live in sovereignty and authenticity. I want everybody to realize that they are co-creators of reality, and that they take on that responsibility and honor in devotion to the divine. I believe if everybody just worked on themselves and stepped into this way of being, we would be able to create a reality far beyond what I can imagine, what I can desire right now. When I tune into the rise in consciousness, and when I tune into my own work, I know that this is just the beginning. Even with all of the development and soul evolution and spiritual work that I have done to come into a very integrated place, I sense that where we are at collectively in our consciousness, even the first people, like the very leading tip, the leading edge of us, are nowhere near where we will be in our level of consciousness as humanity in 20 years, 17 years. We cannot even comprehend what we will be able to comprehend then. I really feel like the future into which we are headed, we need to create right now by preparing ourselves to be completely sovereign. Stand in our own truth, in our own alignment, and moving with life in a way based on this alignment to energetic principles, that even as we evolve, we still know how to move with life. Even as, no matter what happens, we know how to move with life. And to a degree, I feel like I am already living in the future that I desire for our collective. Of course, I still go through phases where I need to stand up for my own boundaries. I realize the illusions that I have held before. I learn and I grow, but I feel like I am at a place in my life where I am completely guided by my intuition. I know myself so deeply. I am so incredibly stable that I can move through the most intense emotional processes and still hold myself. I am in love with life. I am deeply devoted to my purpose and to what I am creating. And in so many ways, I am living, even though I have still so many dreams, I am living in a dream. I am living in a way where I am deeply fulfilled by life, so in love, so often really blissed out on the beauty and the amazing greatness of life. And I believe that this is possible for all of us. This is what I want. So let's continue with the next question. What do you see as your role in bringing this desired reality in? I believe that I have a great purpose. And I have been on my own journey for 10 years now. I have been devoted to this work for the past 5 years. And I believe that I needed that time to become the person that I am today, that is able to lead into the work that I have already created. My current teachings are based on things that I have discovered 10 years ago. And every year they develop further. And I have really come into this understanding that I have a great role in bringing about this desired reality. I am here to articulate the energetic architecture of life and lead in a mystical philosophy that really is a recalibration towards existence and a way of being, a way of perceiving reality that allows you to move as one with life. I'm here to recalibrate everything and to lead people into this in so many different ways. I'm here to lead a movement and not only lead individual people, but lead the leaders of what is about to come. This is my role. This is what I'm here to do. And this is the purpose that I have really accepted and embraced. So let's go into the next question of how do you guide and support others? I do exactly this. I have developed a structure, an architecture of energetic principles that really articulate the intangible, the energetic in a way that it becomes digestible for us. What I sense, what I channel, I have brought into a form that guides you into this way of being, not just as concepts, not just as constructs, but really through meditations and energetic exercises and processes like a cycle of transformation or the creative process based on the interplay of feminine and masculine polarity, so that you are able to establish this in your life into lived embodiment. And this is my work in the Creative Waters way. All of my work is based on this foundation, but I have taken the past year to really bring this into a form that you can learn this foundation. In the Creative Waters way, right now, there are already 9 courses and a couple of deeper sessions as well that teach you exactly this, moving as one with life. It is about creation, alignment, intuition, your relationship to time, your relationship to life, channeling, masculine and feminine polarity as states of consciousness in the creative process, And in your being, in a union, all of these energetic principles expressed, articulated into form. And this is how I support you in creating that future right now. And I feel like this podcast is also part of it. In this podcast, I really want to create the space for you to get an insight into my work and into the work of other women that also lead into this new level of consciousness, that lead into this future, that lead into what is already emerging beyond the horizon. I also want to mention that right now, for this month, I have 2 spots open for women to work in a one-on-one private mentoring container with me. It is always a journey of 6 to 12 months, and we together decide which journey or which structure is the best for you, that is supportive for you, and that is based on your desire of consistency, how self-led you are, and how close you want to work and how close of a proximity you want to be with me. If you want to explore that option, you can book a free compatibility call with me to explore this one-on-one work with me. That is it. Let me look at the last question. How can people find you and work with you? You already know I am right here. You can find my work at thecreativewaters.com, and you can join the Creative Waters Way, which is opening today on the 3rd of June. And you can find that on thecreativewatersway.com/join-the-way. I will leave the link here in front of you on the screen and down below for you to check out if you are just listening and not watching. And you can also always find me over on Instagram at Tabea Zoé and the podcast at beyondthehorizon.pod. I also have a Substack that is called Bridges and Anchors. And that's it for right now. I hope you enjoyed this episode, getting a little bit of a different insight into what I perceive, what I think, as the one asking the questions. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I am excited to see you in the Creative Waters Way and for you to hear from me again in 2 weeks' time with the next conversation. Until then, my love, bye.